In this video, we're going to cover how to input your software specifications into a work order in Box. To do this, we're going to break it down into three key pieces: features, actions, and functions. To begin though, we're going to need a work order. From within your project dashboard, you're going to click on Create Work Order. It's going to ask for a name and a description. Every work order is made up of three components: features, the core capability of the software; actions, the individual actions your user must be able to take; and functions, the elements within the software or the user interface that allows your user to complete those actions. To begin, we're going to lay out the features for our work order. Once you've created a work order, you'll find yourself in the features list. So clicking on New, it creates a feature card. It's going to again ask for a name and a description. You can edit these descriptions up until the point where you push your software into production. So whatever you put in here, make sure it's something that you'll understand as your software continues to grow. For my example, I'm going to put in a beta testing dashboard. And then for the description, I'm going to explain that this is where our clients can view, manage, and implement the feedback that they get from beta testing. And that's it. You can add as many features as you like to your work order. I'm going to add one more. So clicking New, we're going to do testing tool. And I'm going to explain that this is for our beta testers to easily and quickly test new software. Perfect. If you ever want to delete a feature, you just go over to this dot menu here and press on delete. You can also move a feature to a different work order if you want to change the order of delivery of development, but we'll get more into that into a different video. Once you're happy with the features you have, you can click on Next. This is going to take you into the spec tool. On the sidebar here, you will see all of those features that you've added. You can also see them on these feature cards. If you want to skip ahead to a feature, you just want to click on this double arrow button and it'll take you straight to it. If you ever want to edit or delete or rename the features that you've added to a work order, all you need to do is click on Edit Features in Work Order, and that'll take you back to the features list. Back in the spec tool, within these feature cards, you can see the feature's name, its description, and then some tabs. Each of these tabs helps you do different things. So the specs will eventually be the list of actions that you've added to this feature. The backlog is for your backlogged actions. And then the comments is where you can leave a comment specifically on the feature in order to collaborate or brainstorm or communicate with either your team members through collaborators or with the Box team. In the blueprinting phase, this is where the Box team will communicate with you to refine your specifications. Going back to the specs tab, this is where we're going to start listing out the actions that we want our users to take for this particular feature. So for the beta testing dashboard, I'm going to add an action. So to do that, I'm going to go Add and then Action, and then I can write the description of the action straight into this box. So best practice for writing your action descriptions is to use the structure of user can. So for an example, for my beta testing dashboard, I want my user to be able to see all of the features inside of their software. So to do that, I'm going to write user can see all of the features live in their app or in their software, to be more precise. Okay? So to add another action really quickly, we can just press the Enter key. And let's do another example. So user can see all of our features. We also want them to be able to see the features that have gone through beta testing. So we'll go user can see if a feature has gone through beta testing, right? And to give a little bit of extra context, we can go, what does it mean to go through beta testing? It means that every tester has completed it. So sometimes we want actions or screens to be locked behind a particular access within our software. So for example, in my beta testing tool, I only want the owners or the decision makers of a project to see the feedback that a beta tester has given them on a particular screen. So in order to do that, we're going to replace the generic user in user can with a role name. So for example, I'm going to write owner/decision maker can see feedback given for a screen. This allows us to differentiate between what is general access or what is locked behind a particular accessibility or role or subscription. If you want to delete an action, again, you go to this dot menu and you can press delete. You can also move an action to a different work order, and you can copy an action. So pressing copy creates an exact match. So if an action has functions, when you copy it, it will also copy the functions. It helps speed things up when you've got similar actions happening. So we're going to delete this action. Cool. Pretty quickly, you're going to have a lot of actions on one feature. So a way to organize actions is to use groups. So to add a group, we're going to go add, and we're going to go action group. This gives us a folder that we can move actions into. So you're going to want to give this action group a unique name. So I'm going to do feedback, right? And then I'm going to just grab the action by the drag bar here, and I'm going to move this up to add it to the action group. If you want to delete an action group, you just click on the dot menu and press delete. This will delete all of the actions and functions inside of that action group, so just be wary of that. You can also copy an action group to another feature. So I've just pressed copy, and then I can see all of my features here, and I can copy it to the testing tool if I want to. So as you're going through and creating actions, you're going to want to also add functions to those actions. For a reminder, a function is the software or UI elements that allows the user to fulfill an action. So to open up an action to begin adding functions to it, we're just going to click on this little gear symbol here. This is the symbol for functions. You'll see it in a few different places throughout the app. But right now, we're just going to click on it, and it opens up our action details. Here you'll see the action name. You can edit this here if you want to. You can also see the feature name that it belongs to. Then in the tabs, we've got specs, which lists out our new functions. This is the functions that we're adding to this action in this work order. And then next to it, we've got live functions. So this is the functions that are live in the software. Right now, we don't have any. If you go over to the comments tab, you have another comment feed. This is specifically for this action. This is a great place to add any additional detail or questions for the Dev in a Box team. It is also a really great place to have discussions over what you need in this action and how you want to implement it from within your team. So it's a great place to brainstorm and add all of this context. Going back to the specs, we're going to start adding functions to this action. So we're going to ask ourselves, what are all of the elements that we need in order to fulfill this action? So for our owner or a decision maker to see the feedback given for a screen, what do we need? Now, we're going to need to display the feedback that was given to us by our beta testers. So we're going to need to see the feedback text from any sort of comments or descriptions that they've given us. We're also probably going to want to see the photos or files that they've uploaded. Maybe we get people to screen record things. So to add a function, we're going to click on add, and it just pops right in there. Okay? We're going to add a description. We've already got feedback text. That was automatic. We're going to add any file uploads. So preview of uploaded files. Right. That's just going to let us see the text and then the preview of the files. If we want to delete a function, again, we go to this dot menu and we just delete it. When you submit your work order to be blueprinted by the Dev in a Box team, they're going to be coming through all of this and making sure you haven't missed any functions in order to implement the actual action that your user needs to take. So they're going to go through and they're going to sort actions into screens and then make sure that you've got all of the functions you need in order for that to be working software. So we're going to try and get everything we need, but there's no stress if you miss it because you're not a software expert. You're just going to be using what you know or what is specifically important to your business or your software case. So what we've got here is pretty much it. We may add things in later once we work out what the UI is actually going to look like here. So let's move on to a different example so we can help you a little bit more. So we're going to go into user can see all of the features in their software. Now, a great tool that I haven't introduced you to yet is this box right here. These are some suggestions that are given to us for what functions we may need. So in order to add one of these, what we want to do is we just want to click the add button. So let's quickly find one that makes sense. So we want our user to see all of the features that is live in their software. So this is going to be a list of all of the features. I'm assuming it's probably going to be navigatable, so we're going to be able to go in and open those features to see all of the screens and everything like that and all of the feedback we've got. So what we're going to want is probably a navigation button, and then I'm just going to regenerate some new functions. I don't like any of these. Cool. So we might want to see our feature description, but that's not really something that I'm super prioritizing here. So I'm going to go generate again. And then we're going to go, yeah, like a feature label is great. We need to see the name of a feature. So I'm going to add that there. But then I'm just going to specify that I just want the feature name, just so it's actually clear what data we're actually looking for here. So I think that's all we need. We just need a way to navigate into the feature, and we want to see each of the feature names. I don't care about descriptions for this. I don't have any icons. That's pretty much it. So we're just going to close it. So before you've added functions to your action's going to look like this, right? It's going to be a darker shade of blue, and it's going to have this exclamation mark. That's to let you know that you need to go and add at least one function to that action in order for it to be complete. Once it's completed, it's this lighter shade and it's got a little tick button. So we're going to want to fill out all of our actions in order to then go and submit. So I'm going to quickly add something to this. So in order for a user to see that it's completed, I want to see a styling for a completed feature. And I also want to see a styling for an incompleted feature. We can leave that up to the UX designer to decide what's the best way to implement that. So we go X, perfect. And then see how this has changed up here, our submit button. Before it was grayed out and you had a little alert button. What that's telling us is that all of our actions have been completed and that it's okay for us to now submit this work order to Blueprint. So in Dev in a Box, only an owner or a decision maker can submit a work order to be blueprinted or process the payment. So I'm the owner of this project, that's why I can see it. Before I click submit though, I do want to show you something. So I talked about these little function counters earlier. These are super important because functions is what the pricing of Dev in a Box is built off of. So in order to give you super predictable and flexible pricing, we do a cost per function pricing model. So these functions are going to be in a few different places. I'll show you where. So to begin with, we've got this one up here. At the top of every feature card, we have a function counter. See, this one is 0, and then you scroll over and this one's at 6. This is the total functions that is in this feature. Next to it, if you're a decision maker or an owner of a project, you will see the total cost of the feature. On the sidebar here, you will also see a function counter and the corresponding cost for that feature. And then at the bottom here, you've got the total functions that are in that work order. And then again, if you're an owner or decision maker, you can see the total cost of it. So this allows you to be very transparent in what your work order is going to cost. So you can adjust and change things as you will according to your budget. So another place that you'll see your functions is on the action cards right here. So you'll see it on the action card out in the spec tool view, and you'll also see it in the action details. This is how many functions are in this action. Okay, so once you've got all of the specifications that you need for your work order, you can go ahead and press submit. That'll send your work order to be blueprinted by the Dev in a Box team, and you're on your way.